Hey Reddit, I'm here to unload a story I never thought I'd be telling. If you'd asked me 3 years ago what my future looked like, my answer would have been simple. Settle down with a loving wife, buy a modest home, raise a couple of kids, and maybe retire near a peaceful lake someday. Nothing extravagant. I wasn't chasing wealth or excitement, just calm, steady happiness. Her name was Rachel. We first crossed paths at a barbecue thrown by a mutual friend when we were both 26. She had this contagious laugh and a spark in her eyes whenever she talked about wanting a big family. I fell hard and fast. 2 years later, we tied the knot in an intimate ceremony at her parents' lake house. At the time, she seemed perfect. Funny, kind, thoughtful. After a long day at the construction site, coming home to her felt like everything was worth it. We didn't have much, but I believed we were happy. Or so I thought. A year into our marriage, things started to change. She began staying late at the office. At first, it seemed logical. She'd just been promoted to office manager at the small marketing firm she worked for. But the red flags followed. Cancelled date nights. Networking trips that came out of nowhere. Suddenly, her phone had a password. Still, I pushed down my doubts. Convinced myself I was just overthinking. Around the same time, we started talking about having a baby. She said she wanted to wait a little longer, but every now and then she'd let slip comments like, "I just want us to be fully ready." I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Then came the pregnancy. When she showed me the test, I was overwhelmed with joy. I cried. We cried together. We told everyone. Her parents even threw a celebratory dinner. But something felt off. I chalked it up to nerves. Then, more things didn't add up. The timing of the pregnancy didn't make sense. The month she said she conceived, we were barely intimate. She had become increasingly distant. And then came the bombshell, the prenatal screening. We'd agreed to it to check for genetic conditions. What I didn't realize until the doctor mentioned it offhand during a follow-up was that it also included a paternity test. And it revealed I wasn't the father. I was in complete shock. Convinced it had to be a mistake. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed to be sure. So, I paid out of pocket for a private paternity test. The 2 weeks it took to get the results were hell. I walked around our home like a ghost, pretending everything was fine while feeling like my entire world was cracking open. The second test confirmed it. I wasn't the father. That night, I confronted Rachel. She broke down in tears, begged for forgiveness, swore it had just been a one-time lapse in judgment. Said it meant nothing. She claimed she didn't even know she was pregnant until months later. But I asked her the one question I couldn't shake. How long had it been going on? She couldn't hold the lie. Her face fell. It hadn't been a one-night mistake. It was an ongoing affair. The man, Jason, a co-worker. And he was married, too. His wife was in the dark just like I had been. I packed a bag and left that same night. What I didn't expect was how her family reacted. I thought, foolishly, that they'd be furious with her, that they'd get why I couldn't stay. But instead, I was bombarded with messages and calls. Her mother even sent me a handwritten letter. Every single one of them said the same thing: family is more than biology. You made vows. That baby needs a father. Her father even showed up outside my apartment one night, angry, red-faced, calling me a coward for abandoning my responsibilities, like Rachel hadn't betrayed me at all. Rachel didn't stop there either. She started sending me sonogram photos, pictures of the nursery she was decorating, the same nursery we'd picked out furniture for together before I knew the truth. She told mutual friends that I was punishing an innocent baby, that I was heartless. And I'll admit it, the guilt crept in. Not because I believed them, but because deep down, I still wanted to be the man I had imagined I would be. A husband, a father, a steady presence. But none of that was real. It had all been built on a lie. Then came the birth. Rachel's mom called me in the middle of the night, sobbing that Rachel needed me. I didn't go. I couldn't. I had nothing left to give. 2 weeks later, Rachel's best friend Sam reached out and asked to meet. She said there were things I needed to hear. I almost ignored her. I was sick of the lies, the manipulation, but curiosity got the better of me. At a quiet cafe, Sam was visibly nervous. She fidgeted with her coffee for what felt like forever before finally speaking up. Rachel had known all along. She knew the baby wasn't mine before she even told me she was pregnant. According to Sam, Jason had told Rachel he wasn't leaving his wife. That sent Rachel into panic mode. She didn't want to be a single mother or face the shame of it in our small town. So she made a decision. Fake it. Pretend the baby was mine. Hope I'd never question it. Sam even showed me the proof. Text messages. Full conversations between her and Rachel, planning how to keep the story straight. I still remember sitting across from Sam, Rachel's best friend, as she nervously slid her phone across the cafe table. I hesitated before reading. My hands were shaking. But there it was, clear as day in Rachel's own words. I'll tell him it's his. He's thrilled. He'll never question it. Once the baby's born, it'll all fall into place. That moment hit harder than anything else had. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a moment of weakness or a mistake made in regret. It was premeditated. Deliberate. She set out to deceive me, to tie me to a child that wasn't mine just because it suited her plan. After that, I didn't look back. I cut her and everyone connected to her out of my life. I changed my number, blocked every call, every text, every guilt-tripping message from her family. My lawyer sent a formal statement declaring I had no intention of taking legal or parental responsibility. I refused to sign any documents, no birth certificate, no acknowledgement. Nothing. She didn't take it quietly. Rachel tried everything: manipulation, emotional blackmail, even threats of going public and painting me as a heartless man who abandoned a child. But I didn't budge. Let them talk. Let people whisper. I knew the truth. And I wasn't about to spend the rest of my life being reminded daily of how the woman I loved turned my heart into a weapon against me. A year's passed since all that. I moved to a new town a few counties over. New start, new job, new peace. Therapy helped a lot. I stopped seeing myself as weak for walking away and started recognizing it for what it was: survival. Rachel still plays the role of the doting single mother online, trying to polish the story she wants others to believe. Mutual friends send me updates now and then, but I don't look. I don't respond. I'm done. I don't resent the kid. None of this was his fault. I genuinely hope he grows up happy, but he's not mine. And for once, I'm breathing freely again. Even after seeing all those messages, even after hearing the truth, it took me months to let go of the rage. In the beginning, I was furious, not just at her, but at myself. I couldn't stop thinking, how did I not see this? How could I be so blind? I'd lie awake, going over every memory, every kiss, every moment of affection, wondering how much of it had been a mask. Had she ever truly loved me? Or was I always just a fallback plan? The more time passed, the clearer it all became. The way she hid her phone. The out-of-town work events. The way she'd pull away in bed, pick fights over nothing, slowly pushing me away while keeping me close enough to use. Back then, I called it stress. Now I know better. I wasn't paranoid, I just didn't want to face the truth. About 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into her father at the grocery store. The man cornered me like we were in some bad drama series, right next to the frozen peas. He was clearly drunk and started shouting that I'd turned my back on my son. That I was a coward for leaving his daughter to raise the child alone. I didn't reply. Didn't explain. I realized in that moment, he didn't care what actually happened. None of them did. It was about image, about keeping the illusion intact, even if it was built on lies. It was never about love. It was about control. But the thing is, when you walk through fire and come out the other side, you're not the same. I started over. Found friends who didn't know anything about Rachel or the mess I left behind. I enrolled part-time in a construction management program, finally got that degree I kept putting off. I even got promoted and started sketching plans for my own house, something I'd dreamed of back when I still thought we had a future. The nightmares eased. The bitterness faded. Then, about 3 months ago, almost exactly a year since the divorce, I got a letter. Handwritten. No return address. It was from Jason's wife. Turns out karma keeps its receipts. She found out about the affair. Rachel wasn't the only one, either. Jason had cheated with multiple women. Their marriage fell apart. She took him to the cleaners in court and, in the process, uncovered something else. Jason had secretly taken a paternity test after Rachel gave birth. And the result? The baby wasn't his either. Let that sink in. The man Rachel jeopardized our marriage for, the one she thought might take over if I left, wasn't the father. Neither of us were. Rachel didn't even know who the father was. She'd been sleeping around so much, she lost track. Everything she'd built, the lies, the manipulation, the guilt trips, the pity party, it was all based on a foundation of sand. And when I finished reading that letter, I didn't get angry. I laughed. A real, deep, unburdened laugh. Because it was finally clear, none of this had ever been about me. Rachel hadn't mourned losing me. She mourned the life she tried and failed to manipulate into existence. The security she thought she could guilt me into giving. And I was finally free. When people ask if I'd ever consider marrying again, I don't give some bitter speech. I just say, maybe. If someone real comes along. But I'm not chasing fairy tales anymore. I'm not breaking myself to fit someone else's fantasy of what life should look like. I'm not giving up peace to fix someone else's mess. If that makes me the villain in someone else's version of this story, so be it. At least now, I'm the main character in my own.